we have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, do I get a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes from April 9th meeting?
Bourne moves to approve the minutes of April 9th.
And the agenda. Yes.
Second.
Oh.
And the agenda, and it's seconded by Kelly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, moving on. The agreement, the TIF agreement with Taylor Mountain Enterprises, it's coming along, Dan. Do we have would you like to say something towards that, or should we go to Tanner? Tanner, do you have any extension? We extended that last time. Did you have anything to add to that?
Only that the initial draft of the amendment that was sent out to the board was revised, and the updated version was sent out as part of the board packet. The only two changes between the two drafts are in Section 1, the date has been filled in with today's date.
Gotcha.
And in Section 4, one of the dates read 2018. It was supposed to be 2019, so that's been corrected.
Okay.
And that's it. So
Great.
move to approve amendment number 1.
Great.
To redevelop.
Dan, are you pleased with that? Yes. Okay, thank you. So then do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve amendment number 1 to redevelopment and reimbursement agreement with Taylor Mountain Enterprise.
Second by? Second. Jan? Discussion? None? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Okay. Moving right along. It's looking good over there. It's exciting. Dirt looks good. I'm into dirt, you know. Okay. It looks good. Okay, the DDA district conversation. Cleanliness and beautification. Jan, would you like to, you were at the beautification meeting the other night that the city, or the other afternoon the city did. Would you like to give some report on that?
I'll do a little bit, and then Sally, I'm probably going to miss a whole bunch of it because we got, I don't know if you guys were talking when we got called out of the meeting for a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, the mini cleanup, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that and all the things that happened.
Yeah, it's
that we're
Wednesday,
working
22nd.
together.
Everybody will meet at Woodland Square. We'll have water. We have donuts there too. I thought I saw that. And donuts there, and they can get a vest. And the city then is going to do some pre-cleanup. And just in the downtown area, it's not going to be a big deal like with a barbecue afterwards and all of that. And what did we decide, 8 to 12 to do that? That maybe cleanup? 8 from like no hours.
You have a flyer on your desk.
This is
on the other side.
oh, okay. Yeah, 8:30 to 12.
Yeah.
So, and it says right on here, if you have work gloves, hat, and sunglasses, please bring them. Donuts, water, and safety vests and tools will be provided. But, if you could bring, if you have brooms or whatever, that would be helpful too. So, Laura, do we have bags that we're going to let them use for that?
We sure do.
Okay, we have enough bags. And so we're going to have an area for the dirt that we pick up on either side of the street. And then the guys from grounds will come out of the truck and pick those up.
Good.
Disposed of. It's got, what do they put on for the snow? Is it chloride or something that they put on? And so we're going to be sweeping that up. And you don't want to throw that like in, on your grass or anything like that.
Okay.
So, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Our overall goal is to spruce up the downtown so that it's very inviting and presentable prior to Memorial Day. And I have about 12 people already signed up. We hope to have at least 15 to 20 folks. and they will be working in pairs to wash the lampposts, the railings, the signs, as well as sweep the sidewalks, and also will be picking up litter and doing some weeding as well along the alleys. And so it's going to be a great morning. It will be a big effort for a few hours. So we're looking forward to it.
And everybody pray that it doesn't snow that day. We know that anything's possible. Are we planning that maybe we might do at least one more, if not two more of those?
Yeah, it would be wonderful if we could do at least twice a summer, twice a year. And I'm looking for an understudy. If someone wants to learn how to do this and be the lead in the future, it would be really nice. It's not too much work to put this together, but it's important that it's well coordinated and that people feel like their jobs are very purposeful and well organized. So looking for an understudy who wants to be the queen or king of downtown cleanup.
And P.S., everybody that owns a business down there, sweep your side. I'm not picking you out, I'm just looking at you because you're looking funny. Sweep your sidewalks, The sidewalks might be CDOT property or you think it's city responsibility, but it's your business, so just sweep it, please. And if your windows are dirty, you can keep looking at that because I'm not singling you out, but you've got a lovely look on your face. Wash your windows, just wash your windows and sweep your sidewalks. It's not a big deal. It's your business. So.
Okay.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Sally. Ben, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as we talked a little bit about the power washing downtown, and we discussed that this year we were going to hire a contractor to take care of it because the Vacon that we're ordering for next year, that big vacuum truck,
yes,
we specifically ordered it with this decanter system and this valve that we would be able to separate the liquids and the solids off in the future for subsequent years, and would be a much better system. I asked the rep specifically about this, and I've done some other research, and they liked this Vacon system in order to do exactly what we were trying to do. So can't make any promises as to how frequently that can happen, but it's should be a good solution to the pressure washing in the future, just not this year because the lead time for this unit is it will be out till February till we'll be able to have the thing built.
Oh, that's great. That just sounds great.
You got a picture to that meeting that we had, and it was awesome. So
good.
Darren, thanks for letting me know that.
Thank you.
I know, but he had to get your permission to do it.
Well, great. So that's exciting. And then about the flowers. Is there anything about the flowers?
The flowers, Steve's not here. The flowers, he's expecting the delivery to be June 15th, and he'll let me know when they can be picked up for the Adopt a Garden people, and then the city, that's his schedule. That's his thing. But yeah, they've been ordered. And they were ordered, if I remember correctly, the color plat that you had given him, those pictures that we had made up just as suggestions with the colors of the sky and the mountain and the sun. And I believe Steve said that he ordered the flowers in those colors. So downtown should really be looking really great this year.
Well, and I thought that was neat because Tanner went to so much work when you guys put that foundation or that beautification plan together 3 years ago, how much work you went into the flowers that the deer didn't like. He used it.
There are any of those anymore.
I don't think so either. I think they have
flowers.
I think they've developed a taste.
When you go to buy them and they tell you they're deer resistant, I'm sorry, but they are lying to you.
Yeah,
they are.
I think they've adapted.
I think so too, but yeah, downtown's been really
Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to add to this, Tanner?
Not well. Just a lot of gratitude to the city for their leadership in this cleanliness and beautification effort. The couple of meetings I've attended have been extremely positive and collaborative, and I'm very excited for beautification this year. I think this will be one of the best years that we've seen in a long time, best looking years for downtown Woodland Park.
And I'm seeing more people take part in it. City, DDA, Main Street, and then I'm seeing the businesses take a little more interest in it. Did you order some extra flowers?
I did.
That would be available to businesses?
Yeah, through the city's vendor. Part of the collaboration is that the city shared with us their flower order, and I was able to add some of the same products for private use. So for Tweeds and other businesses that.
So I can go buy some from you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
And there will be some consistency between the city beds and private beds wherever these are used because of the same material. So I think that's
Good.
a benefit. Really, really excited about the new, whatever you call it, VACCON truck, water vector truck, the big machine that's coming.
Yeah.
That's been a long time in the making, a solution to pressure washing. So very, very grateful to the city for finding a solution and helping us move forward with cleanliness. That's great. So the contractor that Ben mentioned in the past was Top Gun. It was a $10,000 cost to clean downtown with this contractor who's able to recapture the pressure washing discharge, dispose of it properly. So we've had that discussion, at least somewhat, between the city and the group that met. I don't think it's clear yet how to fund that. If the city has any funds available, if we do, I know, speaking for myself, my company, we can contribute to that. So that's something we need to resolve.
Have some conversation about, okay?
So wear your sunglasses this summer because downtown is going to sparkle.
Okay. All right. Any more from the board? Any comment on beautification or questions? Okay. Moving on. This was considered an electric vehicle station, and I would go to Laura if you would like to fill us in.
Thank you. Is this working?
You're on.
All right. Well, thank you very much for allowing me to come at 7:30 in the morning.
Lucky you.
For me. But anyway,
She
I
was
appreciate
here at 7. I saw her.
I appreciate the opportunity to come before you. The city is a welcome recipient of a $9,000 grant for an electric vehicle station. It's a grant offered by Charge Ahead Colorado from the Colorado Energy Office, and the $9,000 is the total amount of the grant, and then we have a 20% match, which brings the total expenditure to about $11,200. So that is our cap. We are looking at this EV station in Bergstrom Park in the parking lot, and it has to be fully installed and operational by June 30th of 2019. So we are on not only a budget crunch, but a time crunch as well to get this operational. So when I submitted my request to get on this agenda, I had submitted a PowerPoint presentation to Tanner, and he kindly submitted all of that, so you should have copies with your packet for that. I was going to present it, but I guess something's wrong with Texas, so I'm just going to just go through it. So again, the site is in Bergstrom Park in the parking lot, and one of the maps is an aerial photo that shows the boundary of the Woodland Station Overlay District in yellow. And I'm just going to hold it up. But anyway, the EV station is proposed within the Woodland Station Overlay District, which is why I'm before you here today. So, and you can see, maybe you can see, but the site is proposed right next to, on the southern row of cars within the parking lot, right next to the handicap stall. It'll be the two stalls next to it. It's a single station, dual port electrical vehicle charging station. It will be connected to the internet. It'll have a Wi-Fi connection that will be free and available to members of the public for this park.
And we also need it because for 5 years we have to submit monitoring data to the Colorado Energy Office for the consumption on this station. So it was an opportunity to also provide free Wi-Fi, which I think is a good thing for this park. It's also a great location because it's immediately adjacent to Highway 24. We all know how many vehicles go on Highway 24, and it is part of the transportation corridor within the city of Woodland Park, and it is something that has been requested by citizens both within the city and around Teller County, so it is a long time coming. What I did was I did a quick Photoshop showing what the EV station might look like next to a car. That's my car. And you can see it's pretty sleek, pretty well contained. Most of it is within a shell of almost like a bollard where all of the electrical is housed and protected and secure. And then it's got a couple of little pumps, which are the charging station for it. And there are many different options. We have chosen one, and I believe we've even put in the purchase order for it. It's going to cost us just under $8,000, so that's most of the grant right there for that charging station. It'll have a card reader for a credit card, and it'll also be locked so that you won't be able to pull the pumps out until you actually get your charge card in there. It will be charged at a rate of electricity consumption pursuant to the IREA rates, so the city's not subsidizing consumption, and there'll also be a charge for the credit card fee. So it will be a straight cost benefit. Sure. Do you want to come up here, Ben?
Yeah. So I know the DDA had some question about how this unit was going to look. The reason we chose this charge point unit is a lot of other smaller municipalities throughout the state have had really good success with these. I looked at one actually on Sunday in Buena Vista, and they're really nice units. This is going to be a great choice. But what I found out yesterday was that you can actually custom order graphics for the side, and they have templates that we can customize the entire bollard feature, that whole stand that this unit is mounted on, so we can make it look kind of however you guys want. So once we get down to that decision making, I'll run through that, and maybe there can be some discussion on how you guys would like to look. We'll just get those. They're basically big stickers, and then they sit on the side of the unit to kind of give it a more rustic feel. And then also there's room for 60 minutes or 60 seconds of film that we can add. There's a small computer screen that has 3 different languages that tells you how to use the unit, but you can also upload custom things, whether that's a little welcome to Woodland Park video or something like that, but just some other things for you guys to potentially think about that are good selling points for this particular unit that we've chosen.
Good.
Thanks, Ben. So the unit we have chosen is the one that was submitted with the packet that was distributed. So it's good to know that we can paint it or wrap it or do the decals that Ben was talking about. So this is essentially just a great big outlet, is what it is. And we will try to incorporate it, reduce visual impact to the extent that we can. But essentially, at this point, we are just trying our hardest to get it in and operational and functional. And after the fact, we can decorate it however this committee likes. So we did a review and analysis of this unit using the Woodland Station Overlay District standards. And those standards simply relate to the site plan process, which is an administrative process for the insertion of this improvement. It doesn't even refer to, the Woodland Station Overlay District doesn't refer to the design guidelines that were established by the DDA and approved by council. But we did look at those too, and if you have any suggestions to improve the look of it, you heard Ben, let's do it. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
You said it was going to be 2 parking spaces, so that unit will be in between, so 2 cars can come up and
Yes.
use that? Great.
I have a couple questions. How much does it cost to charge?
It's based on IREA rates, so whatever the energy consumption is and whatever IREA is charging.
Yeah, so with a typical battery, this unit is another selling point for downtown.
Well, and that's true, but what about somebody that wants to camp out there? Use it, not just for charging. How do you lease that? I mean...
We're not planning on leasing. There's not going to be a charge for just parking your vehicle there and consuming it. Police it. It'll be policed like every other overnight camping, RV camping situation.
It's not a big deal. I just, if you got people just kind of hanging out there and nobody can use it, then it's...
We've had a pretty thorough discussion on a lot of different things. So one other thing we wanted to do too was we have to set up a Wi-Fi network connection at Berkshire Park there. So we were setting that up in the future to be able to install security cameras so that we can get this particular station as well. We have to have communication with the City Hall of Berkshire Park, and also we're setting up that system for the charging station to be able to in the future put security cameras there.
So people could come there and sit in Bergstrom Park there and use the Wi-Fi at that point?
Yes, we want to be able to set it up to have that option to do a free Wi-Fi, just like you would at the airport when you sit down there.
That's a good point, selling point. I think it would publicize that, for people stopping by. No, I like that.
Jan, you had your hand up.
How do you get the power to that? Do you have to dig a wire or something like into the depot where there is power, or where does that power come from?
Yeah, so the single-phase transformer that's sitting there currently that I think was used to be used for the beer garden right there, that account has been off since 2017, and so Intermountain Rural Electric suggested that we can just reactivate that account, and we're just going to tap that conduit. It's about the easiest electric connection that's available. Yeah. So it's like 13 feet of wire that they have to pull to get to where the charging station's going to sit in front of those two spots.
And Laura mentioned it's a big outlet. I mean, I can't walk over there and charge my phone on it. I don't know because I don't have an electric car, so I don't know how that works. I mean,
right.
I don't want to be going down I-25 and my battery quits and I'm like dead in the middle of nothing.
So as Laura mentioned, the way that this system works is the plugs that sit in the unit, they have a bar that goes through the plug, and it won't allow you to access the plug until you have verified credit card information, and then it'll release the bar, and then you can pull and start charging. So yeah, it's not like a typical outlet where you would be able to just plug in anything that you want. It's geared towards these specific cars. You have to pay for it first before you can charge.
Yeah, I do. Some people would maybe charge their phones, I guess, but I didn't know if it was a special plug or what, because I don't have an electric car.
So it can be used for anything
other than charging a bank.
Yeah.
Kelly?
Good to know.
I just wanted to say that fortunately we won't have this being the only location for charging, because the Microtel building is also putting one of these in their parking lot. So we'll have two sites that will be available for folks to recharge their vehicles. So it's just an added attraction,
You bet.
benefit.
Ellen?
And I would imagine that you considered other sites as well, like behind Williams Brothers Furniture or the park, and decided that this had all the pluses.
We did consider other sites, and this was the most beneficial, most exposure, right next to Highway 24.
Security, since you're taking into
next to a
account
park.
security.
Walk, pedestrian access to most of the businesses. We also looked at perhaps close to the home hardware store, the hardware store, and that Center Street area. But for the first one, and we can apply for more grants, this was the best site that we could come up with. And actually, businesses can apply for grants. So not just the Microtel, but other businesses that have an interest in this, other gas stations, perhaps. We're not limited to one grant. So any other businesses that are interested in an EV station, these are available and worth pursuing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Microtel did apply for a grant for their charging station. Am I
I'm not
correct?
sure. I don't.
Seems like I heard that. I thought so.
Al?
Okay, thank you. Laura, what type of nighttime lighting is there? I didn't pick that up.
There are lampposts around the park. This particular unit doesn't have a dedicated light to it, but the screen is an LED screen that's lit, just like any computer screen, and it will be accessible at night. I'm not sure what the security lighting is in Bergstrom Park. The restrooms are open 24/7, so there is lighting.
One of the things about these is that if you have a vehicle, electric vehicle, these are all geo-referenced or geotagged throughout the state, so they know once this is in the system, you know that there's going to be two in Woodland Park, and you know exactly where they're at. So they'll come. They don't have to search for it. Everyone who has an electric vehicle will be able to go straight to the location. So.
And just because of all the vandalism that's been going on in the past couple of weeks, do we have cameras over there?
That's what we just talked about. We are concerned about the security there, so we're going to use this as an opportunity to not only put Wi-Fi there, but also be able to put security cameras in there to oversee both the actual EV and the charging station and also the bathrooms that we have there. So.
Great, thank you.
Good.
So
anyone else on the board? Yeah. Al?
Yeah. Laura, down in the Springs, north part of the town, there's a company called Conceal Fabrications. They manufacture what looks like light poles. They have a variety of decorations and colors and street lights and what have you. But inside it, they have the cell phone tower electronics. It doesn't look like these fake trees or normal type cell phone towers. They're geared up to be ready for 4G and 5G. And they can put, a variety of different designs. It's something that I'd never seen before, but it's here in our neighborhood. And I was wondering, and I've been in contact with them to find out, do they even have this for charging stations, so that they really provide lighting, they provide concealment, so that it doesn't look so obnoxious.
A stealth EV station.
So they've got a variety of things, and when I was talking about lighting, I thought, oh, and you're talking about Wi-Fi, I don't know how this fits into it. It's an interesting design concept, and apparently they sell a lot to the various subdivisions around the nation, because the cell phone towers then are part of the architectural design of the subdivision and not the usual look.
It's worth looking into, Al. Is it all right if we kind of take that information and look into it ourselves?
Yeah, it might be something interesting.
Yeah.
Their showroom down there is quite interesting as to beautification of most towns. An interesting technology that I just learned about a couple of weeks ago. And I thought, this, could potentially be of value here too. Yeah.
Good
particularly with
information.
5G, and apparently it does not have as great a range as 4G electronics, is what I'm led to believe. And towns are putting these poles, along certain routes, so that there's a continuous 5G availability, moving through their towns.
Good information. Good information.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we need to have any comments from the design committee?
I'm excited about what I think
Okay.
is amazing. Here comes Woodland Park into
Yeah.
Tanner?
The Woodland Station design standards do say that, we're to review any improvement of any kind, and when the city submitted these to us, we did take a look. And although the nature and type of the proposed, installation is modern technology, we found that it is fairly small and unobtrusive, making it rather insignificant given the relative size of the overlay district. And the site itself has a significant history related to transporting people to and through Woodland Park, and in that vein, there is some heritage reflected in the new charging station, as it'll bring additional people to Woodland Station, where they'll park and exit their vehicles. And finally, with the ability to customize the appearance to some degree, And we feel comfortable approving the proposed installation and sending a memo to the city just for the record to that effect. So the board's aware if there are any questions or comments or concerns. So,
Do you
Yeah, we
do?
need Murph's picture on the side.
Yeah.
You know, they said that we can customize this. Now, don't you think that'd be a good welcoming?
What do you need from us today, Laura?
I think the memo from the design committee indicating approval would be sufficient. I just also wanted to add that we are proposing one small EV sign that will be next to the traffic sign that's on the light post so that Highway 24 commuters will be able to see it. Other than that, we're not looking at any other markings, so we believe the visual impact is quite low.
Okay. Good. Onward and upward. Where's that? Then we go to Woodland Station. Did y'all see the 4 trees? We have 4 new trees down there.
They are, they're great.
It's a start. Lynn has taken some wonderful pictures, and it's amazing how excited a few people have been that have seen them. Do you have any comments from the board? We have, we're putting together, I'm writing a letter, and I'd like to put that in our newspaper article that we're putting in about the savings that has transpired through this tree planting and how moving forward with this 3-year-old plan, how it has been readopted, and how this has the amount of money that we have saved in donations and what we have spent so far. And it's within our budget for beautification of Woodland Station. And if anybody has any questions, now would be a good time to present them.
I just
Kelly?
would like a report on what's been spent so far.
Tanner, 1680? Go ahead.
yeah, I think it is 1680 is the one invoice that was approved, and the contractor is Ground Control Inc., a local business. Kevin with GCI is here today. I asked him if he could be present to explain to the board just the work that's been done in planting those 4 trees and his perspective on the specimens themselves and the expectation for how they'll do and the recommendation for watering. So, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin, for coming. We appreciate it.
A little early for me.
Yes.
How are you guys today?
You get a jump on the day. We are good.
Right
Thank
on.
you.
Anybody have any general questions regarding transplanting the trees?
I would like to ask, because they came from this altitude and because they came from the same virtually type of soils, is that going to help?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I prefer to bring a tree from up here to up here any day rather than bringing one up from the springs that came from who knows where, Idaho, Oregon, wherever. It's a lot less stress. And the way we did it without balling them, we just put them in our spade and literally within 30 minutes took it from where it was to where it is now. So minimal impact. We still have yet to add a small bit of, dare I say, fertilizer. I don't like to fertilize new trees as they're not equipped to handle it yet. In the near future we can, but we need to get some mulch over there still on those tree wells. I wait to do that to make sure there's no major settling in the well. It's a lot easier to visualize without 3 inches of mulch on that well. So, but yeah, always taking a tree from where it's been growing here for probably 2 decades already is a much better choice.
Good. The trees are healthy?
Oh yeah, no fungal on any of those. I have noticed some certain fungus hitting pine trees in the area, but I haven't noticed it on any of those that we moved. So that's a positive sign.
Good. And is this I know that you have to transplant when the sap is either going up or down. Is the spring better than the fall?
I say the spring is, because it gives more time for establishment. and because you're getting that tree while it's hopefully still dormant. It's harder to tell when that tree goes dormant in the fall versus if the tree is still dormant in the spring, if that makes sense.
Okay. Any other questions, Tanner?
And Kevin, what's the prescribed watering plan?
Okay, so for this first month, I call it every other day. On the business schedule, we're 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That is unless we see precipitation, like even this week we might skip a watering. That's your first month. The second month, we can back it down to twice a week, depending on weather. And moving forward from there, it's really contingent upon the weather. I would recommend at least once a week if we get one of our hot, dry summers. But if it's raining, we might be down to once a month even. It really just depends. As long as they're getting a solid drenching once a week for this season, and then even going into the winter, we're not out of the woods. If it's a dry winter, we got to give those trees water once a month on a day that's 40 or 50 degrees, which does happen. Yeah.
Question. Did you put polymer crystals in there?
I did not.
Okay.
No. It's another one. I believe it gives a false sense of security. As well, they can inhibit root rot. Essentially, we pruned most of the fine roots from those trees when we moved them, and now those trees are going to begin to accumulate new fine roots. And if those polymer crystals never really dry out near those fine roots, that's where root rot occurs. And those are the roots that are responsible for nutrient uptake and water uptake.
And what kind of pine trees do we have?
Ponderosas.
Ponderosa.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great over
And
there.
Cool.
Those-
Yeah, they show up. They do. It made an
And it's
improvement.
not a park. It's just, we've just basically cleaned up the area. And
Yeah, it's
the
looking
trees
nice.
over there, but it's not a park, so it's not something that, somebody would say, oh, we're going to lose a park. No, it's not. It's just a nice place downtown.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
How much longer do you think we'll have before the sap starts up? How much longer do you
I think
think?
it's happening as we speak, Mary Jo.
I was afraid of that.
Yeah, this last weekend was pretty warm, and I've even noticed some aspens with real leaves now at this elevation. So I think we really got it at the last moment. I was
Okay.
hoping they would go in the week before, but obviously things didn't line up. So moving forward, I wouldn't move any trees from now through July while they're putting their new growth on. And then you're looking at a more of a gamble, July through August. September, October, weather contingent. It all depends on what it does. But definitely moving them in the fall takes a little more of an eye and care to make sure they're watered through the winter properly versus if they've had all summer to try to set up. Just so that's on the record. Much prefer to do it in the spring.
Yep. Good to know. Good to know. Ellen,
Will you be watering the trees, or are we watering the trees?
they're watering the trees.
Yeah.
Part of that.
Yeah.
Tanner?
Well, on that, in the estimate that was sent over, the watering cost was approximately $100 per visit.
Sure.
We were anticipating more trees at that point.
Sure.
There's been some question as to what the actual cost would be, and per my last correspondence with, is it Dan Bradley?
Yes.
Yeah. He said that you guys wouldn't really know until you've been there to water once and
Correct.
see how much time it takes. And have you done that? Do you guys have any idea yet for what the actual watering cost would be per
We
visit?
did that yesterday, Tanner, Dan and I ourselves, and he put $80 on it per trip as we sit now.
Wonderful.
Cool. And again, that's not selling you guys water too. That's just labor costs for filling it, bringing it. We're not reselling anything. So just so that's
Okay.
on the record. For the first month, correct, yep. But of course, if we don't need the water, we will not. Yeah.
Yes, Tanner?
Well, and so with the cost of the trees and calculating the cost of watering, which I did at $100 per visit, with the prescribed watering program that was in the estimate, the complete tree cost plus the cost of all the grass seed that we spread on the site comes to a total for the year of, I think it's $44.50, so about 10% below budget for the Woodland Station improvements.
Great.
And it looks like right now we're on target to come in just below that. So.
Okay, any questions from the board on that? Okay. Well, I'm excited that something's going on over there. So, Kevin, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah. We'll see if we get some more trees in a day.
All right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, this sounds like we're done for this spring anyway, moving trees. So we can probably talk about it and maybe next spring move a few more. Just see where it goes. Just let it unfold. Any comment on that?
It's just
Okay.
nice to have another nice area downtown, so we can sparkle downtown.
And then the surface stabilization, Tanner brought that up, that the grass seed's planted, and the grass seed is low maintenance, low water grass seed, wild.
Well, keep your fingers crossed. It's not the best soil over there. So the seed is the pasture stabilization mix that is recommended by the Teller County Extension for that area with that dirt, and that's what they recommend. It should do fairly well, but without a lot of moisture, it's hard to get seed to germinate and take, and so we may have some challenge in revegetating the surface, but this is part of the permit that's open for the grading of the property. Revegetating the surface is a means to stabilize it, which is necessary to stop erosion and close out the permit. So that's what we're trying to do. And on the topic of surface stabilization, I need to tell you that I dropped the ball on with communication with the city regarding the Park Street millings that Kiewit had agreed to deliver at Woodland Station and use just south of the Center Street Saddle Club intersection to help stabilize that area and create something of a parking area. So the millings are to some degree an impervious surface when applied and have drainage considerations that I didn't think were applicable here, but I guess I didn't realize the implications of using those millings. So as the millings were being taken up, they were hauled to a city property where they're stockpiled. I met on site with Ben from city and a representative from Kiewit to discuss the application of the millings, and what we've decided for now is to use the millings just along the berm that's built up south of Saddle Club and north of Fountain Creek, that berm that's right there, along the base of that berm to help stabilize it. That should help drainage and stability of that area. And if we want to use any more millings, we need some sort of drainage analysis, which would involve an engineer to analyze drainage and provide some information that then the city could review and either approve or deny the use of those millings. So that's where we're at on that. Kiewit is going to revegetate the area that they've disturbed, as well as the bermed area that we just talked about, and they're also going to smooth out that area where we had planned to use the millings, just south of the Center and Saddle Club, which will help because there has been some erosion there. So they're going to clean that up. That's it. We either need to revegetate that area or work with an engineer on a drainage analysis so that we can use those millings.
Okay. I was over and saw Kiewit. They have really staged an area. I mean, it was very active. That was a lot of equipment, a lot going on over that bank. So that should, I'm glad you talked with them. Any idea when they'll start on our site, when they'll be finished with the street?
I'm not sure at any time. I think they've already started work on the
Your
area.
side?
Yeah, by the hardware store, just south of the hardware store.
Okay, any questions from the board on that?
That was very informative on about the milling, what we plan to do with the millings, and then he not only that we couldn't do it, but he explained why we couldn't do it, which was great to know that.
That's good. Okay. Any more on that? I would like to say that Nick has got picnic tables from the Sheriff's Department. Nick, would you like to fill us in on that?
Yeah, I think now that the trees are in, we're going to start with probably 2 of the picnic tables up top with the trees where the parking area is. I think with the new charging station, and they can set a picnic bench for 4 hours, or go to Murph, right? Because he will be the face of our charging stations.
Yes, he will.
But
Don't shake your head, that's a good thing.
right now, I think we'll start with 2 of them. Got to get them into the shop and stain them, I think. Like I told a couple of people, I'm allergic to cold. I'm not going to stand outside until it's warm and do those. May end up doing a 3rd one, too, possibly down in the behind around the parking area there. And put another one down across from Woodland Park to get people trying to go over there. So right now, it looks like 2, possibly 3.
And there's no cost.
There's no.
That's
there is no
right
cost.
in our
Those are-
budget.
those are donated.
They're free.
Free's always great.
Right. And we'll work on securing those, I think with the 2 being up by the charging station, those should be very safe with the cameras and things like that. Yeah, and
Okay,
we'll get those done soon.
good.
People stupidity would never suspect me. No, I had a theft out of my parking lot right in front of the cameras. Guy walked right over the door, looked down the hallway to see if anybody was there, right under the camera before he went and lifted the stuff.
Okay, so moving along, if there's no more discussion on Woodland Station, thank you, Nick, for doing the picnic tables. I think that'll be a nice place for people to hang out. And if it's added parking for any kind of events, it's a little more of a staging area for them to stay a little bit longer, and that's what we're trying to create.
That's right in the heart of downtown.
Yes. Now we're going on to the proposed amendment. This is just a little update. I don't know how that's moving forward. I don't know when city plans to address that. The 4 amendment changes. Tanner, would you address that? And maybe Darren can help us to know how that's moving forward.
Well, as the board is aware, there has been some correspondence between Mr. Myers, the city attorney, and Mr. Benedetti, our general counsel. There is a meeting, I think it's a council meeting on May 16th, and the plan, as I understand it right now, is for Mr. Benedetti to be here to meet with the city and possibly 2 DDA representatives to meet with the city perhaps in an executive session to answer some questions or discuss that proposed amendment with the city. Then the DDA would be excused, the city would deliberate, and Mr. Myers would be in a better position to respond with the city's response on that amendment.
Okay.
So,
Darren, do you have anything to add? Okay. So it is moving forward, so that's good, and hopefully we can finalize that. Another thing put to bed. So we're looking forward to the 16th. Thank you. Operations. Okay. Staffing. Lynn, are you sure you want to do that? Okay, fill us in. Where are we at? I am too. So anyway, we will certainly hate to lose you, but go ahead.
Well, thank you. I think I'm going to have to defer to Tanner. I know that he and Al worked on a draft position description. I'm not sure I would be qualified now for the position because it says something about math, which might take me out. But anyways, I'm going to turn that over to Al and Tanner to talk about.
Al?
Or Tanner, do you want to go first,
Tanner's
or how do we want to go?
Go ahead, Al.
Go ahead, okay. Tanner and I did get together. We spent many hours looking through a variety of things and wordsmithing and what have you to try to capture the direction that we want to go and give direction to the person that occupies this position. It also involves a number of different avenues that we also have to address here, and we'll go through that. This is a combination of input from Lynn and the stuff that she had written up for us. Then we also melded this with a job description that we had from the city of Woodland Park. Then we ran it through our brains, ran it through the computer, and this is what we came up as a final document. One of the things that we're going to have to make a decision on, there seems to have been some discussions whether we want to have an administrative assistant or some other type of a position. That's a word game, and I think this document will allow us to have either an administrative assistant or some other definition. Going forward with that, we also have to make a decision whether this is going to be an employee or if this is going to be an independent contractor. And the ramifications are pretty great. Lynn has been an independent contractor, and according to the IRS rules, she pretty well qualifies for that. But if we go to some other type of definition of this employee, of this person, we may then cross this threshold where we have to call this person an employee. As an example of Lynn, she works independently. We do not monitor her constantly and govern her work output. She works someplace else. She has another source of income than this. She provides her own computer and other tools. If we have some other definition, as some members have mentioned here, and even in our document here on page 2, there is some words that if we leave it as an independent contractor, we're going to have to delete. Where we talk about under tools and equipment, line 1, there's a whole list of equipment there that they should have an awareness of as provided by the DDA. We can't do that if it's an independent contractor. What are some of the differences? If they're an employee, then we have to worry about Medicare withholding, federal unemployment, state unemployment, all of that full range of deductions. And that'll raise the cost of this person to the DDA by plus or minus 35%. There are a number of people who get by pretty well, on a lot of people, referring to them as a independent contractor. But the IRS is also getting kind of stiff on that too. They don't like to not get their money, is what it amounts to. So there's a whole series of things that we need to evaluate. I trust everybody's had a chance to go through this. We tried to lay out all of the stuff that we would want that person to do at any period in time. Not all simultaneously, obviously, but over a period of time. So it is quite comprehensive. We want to give direction as to what we expect from our administrative assistant or whatever else that we determine to class that person as. So our decision has to be, do we call this person a contract That'll have its governed rules. Or do we call this person an employee? And then how do we accommodate all of the various record keeping that's required on that? And I don't know how this fits into city accounting, whether that can be done or not. So that'll have to be verified. If it's an employee, there's a whole wall full of disclosures that have to be posted for that person to read. I don't know if the city's postings would qualify for us on this, or if we're a bit more quasi than that. So there's a number of parameters that we're going to have to look at, whichever way that we choose to go.
Okay. Tanner, would you like to add?
Yep, it's just not simple.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I concur with everything Al said. On the note of an employee versus a contractor, I did have one conversation with Finance Director Mike Farina. This was perhaps about a month ago, just to ask about that. And in the past, when the DDA had employees, they were actually employees of the city. So all of that compensation and payroll process, withholdings, reportings, etc., were handled by the city as, pretty efficiently, along with all the other city employees. If the DDA is to retain its own employee, according to Mike, the city can handle that payroll and withholdings, reportings, etc., but it would not be as efficient, and he would seek direction from the city manager or council as to what he's supposed to do there, or if there's some IGA between the DDA and the city for whereby we may compensate the city for those services provided via the finance department. So,
Mary Jo, our decision today, I guess, or at least it's pretty promptly, is that we have to say, is this the job description that we want to go forward with? Is the title appropriate? So that we can then get this published, and hopefully Suzanne's offer before to help us in the proper posting of this can go forward. We could also then move forward to decide whether we want an employee or an independent contractor. Some of the things that the IRS looks at as far as an independent versus employee. An employee, the worker is required to work a designated schedule of hours. Worker is required to work at the employer's place of business. The worker only provides services to one company. The company controls or has the right to control how the worker performs the service. The company provides workers, tools, supplies, office space, equipment to do the job. As an independent contractor, the independent contractor sets their own hours. The independent contractor has their own licenses, insurance, and other indicators of a separate business. The worker provides services to more than one company. The worker has the authority to decide how to get things accomplished. The worker incurs the cost of performing these services. And the worker has the opportunity for profit and loss from any of those works that are performed. So, like in Lynn's case, she works for more than one company, so we qualify there. She provides her own computer. If she has to make copies, she provides the ink for the copy machine, her own telephone. Whereas with an employee, if the city or the DDA is providing those services, then that becomes an employee. So that's the dance that we have to look at.
Okay. Comment from the board.
They direct their
Kelly?
own work. I'm sorry. I thought you acknowledged me, ma'am. I'm sorry. It also has to do with how they direct their hours of work. They are self-directed in setting their hours, in accomplishing the tasks, and they understand what the tasks are expected of them.
Yeah.
That's a big evaluation criteria as well.
Yeah.
From their perspective, which I think you mentioned.
And that's why we wanted to have a fairly in-depth type job description, so that is established going in.
Further, I would say that, just from my experience, instead of it, if it is going to be a contract position, it should be the terms of the contract and not a job description. A job description is directly related to an employee.
Sure.
So depending on which way you go, that should be described and formatted as a contract for services versus a job description, if you follow my...
Yes, and that can be accomplished very easily at the beginning, and that's why it's set up, what Tanner and I reviewed, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry?
Well, I think it's a no-brainer. Obviously we should go with a contract employee, but I've always felt that the position was underpaid. I think Lynn should have made a lot more money than she is, especially when you go with a part-time employee. You always pay them more than you would a full-time, because they're for whatever. But and then especially if they're providing their own ink and stuff like that, like you guys said, I said, we should consider making the salary, or not salary, but the whatever we want to call it, a little higher than the, I believe it's $15, right? Yeah, I think that's too low. But it's a no-brainer contract.
Kelly? I would just say that that's part of the competitive bidding process. If you're hiring a contractor, you put it out to bid. They bid on what they're willing to provide those services for at a rate which includes their costs of doing business. Would be the proper way to solicit independent contractor services versus a salary or a prescribed by the board, a prescribed rate of pay.
Al?
That's exactly where I was going. Thank you, Kelly. And I was going to, defer a little bit to Suzanne. Do we have to do an RFP on this in order to move forward?
For an employee?
Yeah.
A contract?
Well, no, a contract.
Oh, contract? No, not with the city.
We don't have to do an RFP?
Why would Jason, we wouldn't have to do an RFP because the mediator hired a contract employee for that? It wouldn't have anything to do with the city being only the employee.
I'm just trying not to get crosswise with any political type things. Make sure that we do things appropriately.
If it was an employee, then we would have to have the agreements because then we would be doing workers' comp and payroll and all of that.
Regarding advertising, we don't have any conflicts there that we have to be worried about. Okay.
I think we are.
Yeah. Because we want to do it right.
Okay. So any other comment from the board? Well, I would ask, do you think that we're prepared right now to make a decision of whether it's contract or whether it's employee? Okay, then I would like to have a motion and a second on that we are going for contract rather than employee status and work through that from there.
And I like Kelly's idea that they come back and tell us. I mean, we know how much we can pay, but let them tell us what they're willing to do the work for. And if we can accommodate that, great. If we can't, then we can counter offer.
Okay.
Negotiation.
Ellen?
Negotiate.
And maybe we don't need to put a name administrative assistant, maybe business service consulting, or because we're requesting contractual labor and we, as opposed to an exact title, these are services that the people are offering.
Okay. Do you have that motion?
Contract position, and that was from Jan.
Okay. So we need a second on a contract position.
Seconded.
Okay.
Okay, Ellen is seconded. Is there discussion on that before we vote? Yes.
I certainly don't like all the complexities that this thing started to present. It used to be quite simple that we could get, service for whatever we need, but that's not the current labor environment in America. That's a political statement.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then we will take the next step and finalize a contract position to advertise. And I would look to Al, Tanner, would you mind putting that together in a format that we can publicize?
For the most part, all that I see that we're going to have to do, and maybe Tanner help me on this, is that we just need to change some of the wording in the title. Wordsmith.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of this that's not applicable from a contractor perspective. But I would suggest that working with city staff as they offered to help you do that would be a good solution. But that's just my opinion from experience in this area.
I would leave that to you two to decide and handle. Is that okay? You agree?
Yes.
You agree, Al?
Long time
Okay.
ago.
And do what you need to do. Right.
Before a whole bunch of
Okay. All right. Board training. Suzanne, you have so graciously about 3 times set that together for us. Would you be willing to do that for a 4th time?
Absolutely. I was in correspondence with Tanner when I saw on the agenda that CERSA training was an agenda item. So what I need to set that training up for the board is what your desire is, what kind of training. We never discussed that. We talked about CERSA training, but they offer many different kinds of training, and so you can do an ethics and liabilities training. You can do a harassment training. You can do board procedure trainings. You can do insurance coverage trainings. So I need just direction from the DDA as to what kind of training you would like, and I'll put the right contact in touch with you.
Okay. I would like to have us include board training. What does the rest of the board, what are you thinking?
I agree. I think board procedure training is critical.
And Tanner?
Insurance.
Insurance training, so we could include that.
Both of those in one session. And then what I need to know is it the DDA's desire to have this training this same time, or would you prefer it in the evening, during the day?
Probably during the day would be difficult. I would look at the board to morning or evening. Okay, 7:30 a.m. Yes.
So the attorney comes from the attorney that would be doing the training is Sam Light, and he comes from Denver, so I have to just make sure.
Okay.
7:30 in the morning was
For him, Tanner,
Just any idea approximately how long a training session? Does he need 6 hours, 2 hours?
You can cater it to whatever time constraints you would like. The insurance coverages would be very, very quick. The procedures, if you want parliamentary procedures and all that kind of training, would be a little more extensive. I would say you can do both probably in under 2 hours.
okay, so if we did it from 7:30, we usually go 7:30, try to till 9. We could do 9:30, and if we could allow an extra 30 minutes on that day.
My goal is to eventually make contact with Sam and then put him directly in touch with, I think, with Tanner. So this way you guys can do the scheduling and remove myself from that process.
Okay. Murph?
I'd like to suggest that we look at what training might be needed, then look for him to ask how much time do you need to conduct that training, and then make a decision on whether we do it in a morning or evening fashion, because we usually try to be out here in an hour and a half. Can't be accomplished in that time frame.
Didn't we just do that? Didn't we just decide on parliamentary procedure and insurance.
So per what Mer's saying,
I do not know how much time it will take him to conduct that training. If it takes him 3 hours to conduct that training, are we going to be?
Oh, I thought you did. I thought you said what training we were doing. Okay.
How long it takes?
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Understanding what training comes out of that, and then how long it would take to actually conduct it. And then base our decision on whether we want to be in here from 7:30 to 10:30 in the morning, if it takes 3 hours to do that, or would we rather be in here from 5:30 to 8 to 9?
Yeah, or just the fact that for him logistically to be here that time in the morning, we need to throw that option, maybe ask him what is better for him, and then we'll work around it.
Well, and we can decide whether it needs to be in 2 sessions or not, but then that's 2 trips for him.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say let's shoot for that until we talk with him, and then if we need to rethink it, we can do email.
Is there a cost for this? It's part of our insurance. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just move forward that way if that's okay with you, Murph. And we'll just see what he says, and if it's going to take longer, we'll do it at maybe an evening. Okay, and if we do it in an evening, then we need to send out the doodle poll to see which would work the best and work for him. Okay, that sound good? All right, and then we'll go to general discussion. Murph? Al?
Nope, thank you.
Ellen, and I'd like to, about tourism, chamber.
Yes. Last month we had a discussion about tourism and partnering with our partners, the Chamber and Main Street, and coming up with some fresh ideas and what we can do, what is already being done. I imagine there are many things we don't know about. Debbie and I, Debbie of the Chamber, President of the Chamber, did have several conversations, and to kick things off, Debbie has said that she'd be happy to come and give us a short briefing about what the Chamber and the Visitor Center, the responsibilities and things that are going on there, either in June or July. Debbie? June, if at all possible, to be on the agenda. What do people think of this, or do you want to kind of think about it and go from there?
To comment on that, I think that's a good idea. You made a good question to me. Well, exactly what are we thinking about? How to partner up on? I do think that we need to have some more conversations in what we would like to see, so that the Chamber knows what we're talking about. So maybe we could do that first, and then that would be more information for Debbie, and then what she has to present, how we can tie all that in together.
Okay, then we need more conversations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that sound good to you, Debbie? Okay. Does that sound good to the board? All right. Then we will set that up at some point and have more conversation on that.
So are you wanting to put that on the agenda for the June regular meeting, and with the idea that that would answer some of the questions for Debbie to better tailor, her a briefing for July?
Yes, and I'm not thinking we need a special meeting for that. Debbie, could you do it like even in August? July is such a busy month for everybody.
Well, maybe I can talk to individual members
and get a little more of a feel.
More than 2, and get more feedback and take notes on that and then present it.
I think that sounds like a good idea, and maybe talk about an August presentation from Debbie and give us that much time to come up with some kind of a tourism, outline, guideline, whatever that we'd like to see. Okay. Thank you.
The first thing that comes to mind, just to kind of throw this out on the record while we're here, is I recall reading in, I think it's the foundation plan, that the plan tells us to promote the downtown as a destination and to promote a variety of activities in the district. And I think the chamber is already engaged in activities that are aligned with that. So if we're to actually do that, then perhaps we should align ourselves with the chamber and find what we can do either to support the existing efforts or complement them somehow, some way.
Okay. I think that's a good thought too. So I think what you're proposing, Ellen, is a great idea. Let's just quietly move forward on that and see what we can come up with. Okay? Kelly?
I do have one more thing.
Okay.
Of course, by that point, summer will be just about over.
Yes.
But we're pretty late anyway at this junction. I think what we propose will move forward the way that we're working. And I'll report back in July.
Okay. And we'll just have ongoing conversation about this. Kelly? Yeah. Kelly?
Winter is important.
Nick?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This time I do. Sally, thank you for putting this out. I just wanted to remind everybody about the mini cleanup on May 22nd and the citywide cleanup on June 8th. So even if you only have an hour or a half hour to participate, please come and help us make downtown sparkle. May 9th, we have the Business and Economic Market Analysis Report, and that's on the other side of this, so you could attend that. Again, if it's your business, sweep your sidewalk. Don't wait for the city to come and do it. They have enough to take care of, so it's just sweep your sidewalk. And this Saturday, we're planning through Keep Living Park Beautiful. We have a Fix-A resident. We have a couple in town that are elderly, and they're just incapable of doing some things, and we're going to clean up their yard. Hopefully it's not going to snow, but you know, it might, and we might have to push it off another week, but we'll let you know about that. But we need people. We have a dumpster donated, and we need people to throw stuff in it. So
Okay.
if somebody ticked you off during the week, just throw it in there and get the stress out. So
Gotcha. Jerry?
yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Friday we have an Economic Vitality Committee meeting, which is a business coffee. And so if you could attend that at 7:30 at Hungry Bear, we're going to be getting together with businesses, and this is through Main Street. EDC is a committee in Main Street. Just to get input from the business owners. You know, we can't make your business work, but we can, if you have some concerns or whatever, there may be some place that we could direct you to, or maybe it is something we can help you with. But we want the input from the businesses because it's economic vitality for our downtown, and it's them. It's them.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Jerry?
The only thing I got is I'd like some of those flowers for my business, okay? So would you guys put me on the list for a couple of them?
I'll get you flowers, Jerry.
Cool. That's all I need. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Tanner?
A few things. One, I meant to ask under cleanliness and beautification, with our beautification grant, the $1,000 matching grant, has anyone brought that up at Main Street? Is Main Street able to administer this as they did in the past? Do we know?
We haven't had a meeting yet, but we're going to. And I will bring that up.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then number 2 is the DDA's Facebook page has gone live. Yeah, I know.
Yes. Lynn did a great job.
Yeah, it's out there. Lynn has done an amazing job. There are several posts. It looks good. It's flowing well. There are quite a few likes at this point. I'm not sure how many. Lynn probably knows. 50? 50 likes.
In 2 days, or a day and a half, that was great.
We're more popular than we knew.
Her whole list.
And the picture that she put on, the banner picture of downtown, you took that from the depot going east, didn't you? Because it's beautiful. Well, I actually took that from the website gallery, so it's the same picture, it's not mine. Well, it is.
Gotcha.
Because looking west, you see all these signs, but looking east, you don't see that clutter of signs. Have you seen it, Sally?
Mm-hmm.
Well, please go on the page and like it if you haven't. It's awesome.
Lynn, you need to change that.
Okay.
Because Murph's the new face of Woodland Park.
We got, guys, we got 5 minutes left. Let's move on.
So,
Tanner, finish.
if the board's okay with it, what I think we'll do, Ellen and I think officially, we are the social media committee or something. And Lynn has a great plan in place, so we'd like to just continue along this path we're on. Some posts that Lynn has put together and suggested. I've reviewed them. I'm not sure if Ellen's reviewed them. Essentially, it all looks great. So we'll just continue with the occasional post, see how things go, and then revisit in June with the board to see if there's been any reaction in the community or fallout or anything else that we would need to deal with. So is that okay?
I think that's great.
Okay, great.
Move
and lastly,
forward.
just a reminder, friendly little reminder to all the business people in our district, or actually in the UPass Regional Ambulance District, that a 1/2 cent sales tax goes into effect July 1st, raising our effective rate to, I think it's 8.49. So that's city, county, state, and now special district sales tax that will apply July 1st.
So get a new program.
And that's all for me.
That. From the audience, anyone? Suzanne? Okay, I would say yes. Do I hear a yes?
Yeah, sure. Question is, I saw that referred to as a development plan. And I think as far as this body is concerned, I don't recall approving any development plan aside from what the council has already approved. We have temporary use of the property, but grass is stabilizing the surface, trees are beautification. There's no change in the development plan. So just want to be sure we're on the same page where that's concerned.
Well, I would like to see it on the 16th. The sooner it's done, the better, and we'll prepare for that. And if we have to have a special meeting to adopt that, to present on the 16th, we will. Is that good?
That's coming up. Do we want a special meeting, or should we just decide right now how to proceed? The plan, essentially, is the Woodland Station Land Improvement Use and Management Plan that's posted on the website. Is that the plan that should be presented?
I think that, now, that's up to the board, but that has been our consensus all along, that it's more of a staging plan rather than a development plan. We are staging that property for development. We are trying to clean it up, make it safe, give it some kind of use, and it's a staging plan, not a development plan. So we need to make that clear at council. And I think we're using that same plan because that plan got total consensus of everyone that saw it that that's what they liked until development occurs. So if we're not going to change that, then I think we need to present them with what we have. Do you agree as a board?
I would just comment that on behalf of the City Council, that would be the plan. That's a plan that is drawn and written to and referred to, and it appears that this board is we are moving forward with that plan, and to be in compliance with statute, as the city's attorney said, that should be brought forward for approval by the City Council. So I think it's housekeeping. I think that that's the plan you're operating from, that's what should be brought forward to the City Council. Would you agree with me in that?
And that's what I said. So
Yeah,
I don't think
I agree
if
with
we
you,
go away
Madam
with
Chair.
that plan that we need to have another meeting, do we? Tanner?
I don't know that we do, but I think some clarification here for the sake of whoever is going to present would be helpful. For instance, if I were asked to present this to council right now, I would say the plan we're operating on is the 2009 plan approved by the council, and that that contract does allow for temporary uses of the property, which is essentially what we're doing. The foundation plan of ours has also been approved by council, which tells us to beautify the district, install picnic areas, etc., and that's what we're doing. And the Woodland Station plan that is temporary says so in that plan and is subordinate to that 2009 plan adopted by the council. So that would be I guess my approach to presentation. We're on the 2009 plan with this concept, the Woodland Station Land Improvement Use and Management Plan, as our beautification and temporary use until such time that development's achievable.
Does that sound good to this board? And that's how we should move on. Ellen?
I guess Jason disagrees with that.
Not necessarily. I think the history over the last several years that I haven't necessarily been a part of, we just want to make sure that the DDA board and City Council are all on the same page. And the City Council can provide you their feedback with what they, whether they agree or disagree with the temporary plan as it sits, and just to make sure you have an opportunity for the two boards to get together and put some formality to it. So I don't necessarily disagree with your analysis. It's just something from City Council's perspective, perhaps they're seeing all of this and not having that same benefit of analysis. So giving council the opportunity to put their input and their stamp of approval with the way things are headed.
Jerry?
All right, I'm just going to get it out there. We've been under attack a lot, and I'm a little gun shy, and I'm looking for the intent of this. I'm really happy to hear your take on it, Kelly, that it is basically just a housekeeping and all, but it's not a roundabout attack, is it? Okay, cool.
Not that I'm aware of, Jerry.
I just need to know that.
Okay.
And I don't
So-
have my microphone on, but can I just comment one more?
Sure.
Please? I just have to want to remind this board of directors that we're a partnership between the City Council and the DDA, and the City Council would just like to have that engagement with the DDA. I think we are in a whole new set of staff, set of circumstances, a whole new operating procedure, and we just need to stay in communication. There's no one's attacking anyone. This is business. We're all professionals. We're trying to do what's best for the community. And the elected officials need to be involved because they answer to the folks in the community that elected us. And so it's an effort. We're just trying to get on the same page and work with the DDA. Just like the DDA is trying to work with the council and with Main Street and make a collaborative effort. So as a cheerleader for both organizations, I'm just trying to set your concerns aside. The City Council simply wants to be a participant, an active participant, and in the successes of the DDA. That's all.
Which is what we've been asking for since.
We have been asking for that.
Be successful, bottom line for all of us. So working together in that direction is the ultimate goal. I think every community that's been mentioned, or works, planning commission, everyone else. So I think a change in perspective and receiving things on a positive note would help us all. We'll get a lot further. I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody? Suzanne, does that answer your question? Let's go for the 16th. No, probably Tanner will. Tanner had the plan, his staff developed the plan, and their professionalism did probably a $3,500 to $4,000 plan. This is a plan. This is not a development, but a plan, and has submitted it. So I think that he should be the one to present this. Vicki? That's a good idea. Please.
Say get a hamburger at Murph's, you know, it could be something that could, I'd say it should encompass more of the downtown, be more holistic in terms of its approach to advertising downtown. But that's, I think we should take advantage of that. If someone comes in and charges the bar, should promote the downtown businesses. Make them go to these places for specials maybe on those days or whatever. I don't know.
You know, following up what you guys are talking, it just came to mind is, why couldn't a business sponsor charging for a day? Okay, so if Tweed's Fine, your charge is courtesy of Tweed's Fine Furnishing for the day and all, and that'd be good advertising for the business. Well, you know, I'd do it too.
Sure, just sign me up, Jerry.
It's like parking validation or something.
Yeah, you know, but it would be a
Murph?
If I can't, you know, the full intent of the EV station was really is economic development driver, development driver for economic development business downtown. But also, the thing is about successful management is that you can't get to a point of saturation. So if you're for grants or businesses that you want to town and they're small, the reason why we went out after this one is I realized there's only one in town. It's not, there will be a point of saturation on those before it's a grant, but we still do the project.
Good idea. Good. Okay. Debbie, I know you've got something. Sally?
Theme of partnerships, and Jan mentioned the May 9th, Thursday night. I hope to see you all here for Gabe Preston's presentation. You can access the report from the city website. There's a link directly to the report, so you can take a look at that in terms of the market area and the leakage that is occurring in our community. It's pretty amazing. Also, Main Street, the placemaking report, I'm expecting that to be delivered to us very shortly. We will do a presentation on that. There are 3 themes in the placemaking report that all work toward your foundation plan, which are walkability, so improving sidewalks and access and foot traffic in our community, signage, and we're going to put together a small committee with Debbie and Ellen, Jeff Cahill, to evaluate the signs, both public and private, mostly public signs to start with, so to really entice people to see the free parking opportunities. We have ample parking. It's a matter of getting people to stop, and the EV station is one of the first attractors. So signage, and then the last thing is facade improvements and that curb appeal. So let's work together on all these placemaking activities that we're working with the beautification effort that we just put together. So I would encourage you with the tourism that you also invite the promotions committee from Main Street. The city, Karen Casey, is also in charge of community information. So why don't you just pull everybody together with the chamber and let's work together on these things. Stop siloing. Let's think about everybody who is in the business of helping to promote our community and make it the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. And you just heard us talk about chamber and how we're all working together. That's what we're moving forward on. Thank you. Vicki? Explorers. Well, okay.
Wasn't that the Boy Scout thing?
On that note, do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting? Oh, Murph, go ahead.
Right now, I think we have pretty much the tightest controls on the page that we can have. So we'll continue with that. People can comment, but the comments have to come through the review of the administrators before they will show up. And then the page can't be, I don't think that they can tag the page. You know, there's a lot of controls on it.